guys have heard of the love languages, right? There's something else cool. I mean, the different types of people applies to many things. But with love languages, we have acts of service, quality time, gifts, physical touch, and I think I'm missing one, but it's hard to keep track with all this, with this ocean coming at. Solar, come on. And then there's also kind of a similar thing with the support that we receive from others. Because a lot of us, if we're having issues with people, we feel words of affirmation, if we feel like somebody's not supporting us, we may not really completely comprehend support. Support works the same way. When it comes to interactions with others, we receive social support in 4 ways. So we've got emotional support, so we can receive emotional support from somebody else. We can receive, what's it called? It's called, I should have reviewed this in my head. I have this memorized. I just need to recall it. It's a lot more difficult with the sunset. There's the support of emotions. There's the support of instrumental. That word, I don't really use it very much. Instrumental support is support of instruments, like tools, like finances. So somebody could give you instrumental support, and you could be seeking emotional support, and that's not going to land. Just like the love language is somebody who gives gifts to somebody else who needs words of affirmation or physical touch, it's not really going to land because the person's need is different. So support, knowing what the people around us is needing in terms of support, is important. So we've got instrumental, we have emotional. I can't believe I just forgot the other two. Well, instrumental is tools, and then the other one is personal. So it means companionship. Companionship basically means that you're actually with the person doing things. That's a form of support. And then the fourth one is something that I can't think of right now for some reason. Pardon me on that. There's a lot going on around me. So the waves have pretty much destroyed California. It ripped the Santa Cruz Pier down, and then I just saw in San Diego, it's wreaking havoc, and it came all the way up here. You guys see all that seaweed and stuff, so they've been pretty big here too. And I think there's a high wave advisory going on in Ventura until the 26th. So they were even talking about evacuations, not necessarily needed right now, but they're keeping a watch on that. Question is, can you initiate us in Kriya Yoga? Not in the Kriya Yoga that is the one that you're asking about. So I'm assuming you're talking about Kriya Yoga from the book. So come on. Autobiography of a Yogi. They talk about Kriya Yoga. He talks about Kriya Yoga a lot in there, in that book. And being initiated into that. No, I don't actually teach much of that Kriya Yoga. I teach another type of Kriyas, which are something that anyone can do. Anyone can be initiated. And so, yes, you can go to Kriya the Week Instagram page, go to the link, and you can start doing Kriyas within minutes after doing that. For free. Even. For free. Kriyas concept, and it allows you to bring it into physical action. Kriya in Sanskrit means to do. So we do a bunch of things having to do with breath or voice or movement or posture or repetition, and we have a specific intention from the Kriya, and then we do it, and then we're going to be impacting organs, which are impacting emotional systems. We're going to be activating meridians, which are going to activate our nervous system and our mind, and we can clear things in our mind, we can bring things up, we can work with goals that we have, targets, we can work with emotional blockages such as anger or fear, we can work with restructuring our relationship to reality, all within the Kriya. And it's not about listening or scrolling on social media or reading a blog post or reading a book or listening to a podcast. It's about actually being in the activity of what you are looking to make impact on. It's about a verb. Like, we are an action, right? And so with Kriya, we get to apply some of the concepts that we're working on in action immediately through those things that I mentioned earlier: breath, movement, posture. Is it normal to have brain fog at mid-40s? Yeah, I think it's normal to be obese, I think it's normal to die of diseases in the 40s. Is it something that we should strive for, or is it something that the human being is made for? I don't think so. So brain fog comes from a variety of things. It can be parasites. The thing with parasites and even an unhealthy bacterial balance is that all of those things are producing like waste. So a parasite waste is like the feces of the parasite. That's really toxic to the body, and in particular the brain. And so parasites can be a function that is leading to brain fog. Another thing can be environmental toxins, which are, all over in the air, on our food, in our drinking water, in our shower water. It could be our cleaning supplies that we're using in our house. Guys, cleaning supplies are like one of the most important things to redo. Think about it. Where are you? Like, what is the most harshest chemicals being used on? It's being used on things like our floors, our toilets, and what's touching those things? Our skin. Now, just think about the floor. Right now, I'm barefoot, okay? Why? Because our body, the outside of our body, is made to interact with this environment. So my feet right now are picking up the energy of the earth, picking up the microbes on this beach. The energetics of my body are speaking and communicating to the earth. The same thing's happening to your floor that you just sprayed these crazy chemicals on. Your body's intaking that, and your feet are very porous. There's more sweat glands in our feet than any other part of the body. 250,000 of them. And pores, they're pores. Sweat isn't made to cool us off like we've been taught, guys. If there was, why are they on our feet? You cannot evaporate things from your feet if your feet are made to be walked on. Sweat is made to be an electrical conduit. That's what sweat is with our environment, including that thing right there, the sun, which is essentially the conduit, the node of the galaxy that we're in. All of the other stars are coming into this sun, and then that's coloring our reality. So we've got sun is focusing what's behind it. So the energy of what's behind that sun is coming through us, and that's what's essentially forming reality along with us, which is connected to all of that. So your brain fog could be coming from cleaning products. Put your bare ass on the toilet that you just put a whole bunch of corrosive chemicals on, that's going straight into your body. So it's clean up your environment. If you want some extra support, look into my website, go to nutritional support. We help people overcome brain fog every single day. That's one of the things that are a side effect that people usually aren't expecting. Usually they're doing our program because of some aesthetic reason or some other problem like acne, or they're constipated, or weight issues, and then they realize like, oh my gosh, I have brain fog. They don't even really notice it. I wanted to know, will there be any changes in the politics and money systems and all in the near future? If you have channels to this, please do enlighten us if it's possible. So the crazy thing is that right now we're just looking at fiat currency versus cryptocurrency, not realizing that cryptocurrency has its faults as well. There's the possibility that the electrical grid gets completely taken down, but there's the more probable possibility that a computer can basically make crypto completely irrelevant, because blockchain is essentially supposed to be unbreakable. However, Google just announced that they just created a chip, Willow, that is some amount of septillion times faster than our current fastest supercomputers. So it would take our current computers, I forget the exact number, but it was in the septillion. So I'm saying SEP, like September, SEP. And SEP from September means 7. So it goes million, which is 1, mono, and then billion, which is 2, trillion, which is 3, and that's the 3 circles, right? So circles, and then imagine after trillion is quadrillion, right? Then septillion, and then sextillion, and then septillion. So they just developed a computer that will take our strongest supercomputers right now some amount of septillions of years to figure out a problem, and it can do it in a matter of minutes, I believe. That chip, I just heard the person that developed it talking. He said that it's likely going to break Bitcoin's encryption. It'll take about 8,000 of those chips or computers. I think chips. It'll take about 8,000 of those chips to break Bitcoin's encryption, which means that we're only like a few years away from Bitcoin being breakable. It's going to be, its entire value is on the fact that it cannot be manipulated with our current computing power. However, computing power, nobody really saw into the fact that our computer power is like exponentially expanding. And imagine that, guys. Imagine what that means. Our AI now, I mean, it's a huge leap from what we had available to us, commoners 4 years ago. This, like, the computers of the next 5 years, the next 10 years, are going to be exponentially more powerful of a leap than we've experienced in the last 5 years. And that's what we've all been hearing, that the internet changed the face of this planet tremendously, and the next revolution is going to be changing exponentially. And so regarding currency, regarding everything in our life, we cannot even imagine what 10 years down the road looks like. Like, we just can't. Like 10 years later, this is just a projection. We could literally just be like normal knowledge that and normal interaction with extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings. It could just be normal on our planet. It could just happen. Overnight, guys, we could completely change as a civilization because something in our DNA gets unlocked. We could discover something in the cosmos which then brings awareness to self, which is going to up-level the human being. And imagine if tomorrow you could feel everybody in your neighborhood as if their body was your body. It would completely change the planet, like completely. And we're seeing these levels of changes. I mentioned the internet. The internet, we don't really think of as this revolutionary thing, but it is. You can walk outside now, push a button, and a car comes to you. You can go anywhere on the planet that day and have a house. You can meet somebody from across the world and feel like you're best friends with them because you've chatted over these devices. All of that was like science fiction 40 years ago. 40 years ago? Yeah. 40-ish years ago. Not even considered a reality. Here we are in a generation using it like it's nothing. And as I was saying, exponential, like the invention of fire would be like, or the invention of electricity would be an example of a world-changing event. These things are happening exponentially, which means faster, more powerful than ever. Last year, like 2 years ago compared to this year, we now have AI. We literally have no need to read a book anymore. We can just get we don't even have to buy Cliff Notes. We can just upload the PDF and say, give me the Cliff Notes. It's insane. My Kriyas, I used to spend an hour at least writing down the description of it, what we covered. Now I just upload the transcript and I say, I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to give it direction anymore because it already knows what I want. But then it gives me times of every exercise that we do, what it does, the energetic impact of it, purpose and intent of the Kriya. In conclusion, this is like, it writes the description of the Kriya better than I can, just based on the transcript of everything that I talked about. And of course I'm going to use that because what's important is that somebody watches the video and gets my actual word for word. By watching the video, they don't need me to also write the description. I have ChatGPT do that. Completely life-changing. So that's what I have to say about that. Flat your hair, please. How do you know if you have parasites? Well, we all have parasites, is the thing. Parasites are a function of a healthy environment, just like bacteria is. So the problem or the solution isn't to try and get rid of and sterilize the entire internal environment of the body. Because a lot of times we're living in symbiotic nature, and we say things like parasites and it has a negative connotation, mostly because we've got an imbalance of parasites. So for most of us, we just want to get rid of as much as we can because we've got too much of it. But it's really not the fact that we have too much of it, it's that our body is unable to deal with it. Our stomach acids aren't as strong as they should be, so they don't break down everything that it should or naturally would be, and so we get pathogenic amount of them, something that's not really good for us. And so if you're unhealthy, you can start with parasites, and that's a really easy way to start ticking that off the box. Does ULT ship to Australia? No, it doesn't. We're just mostly in USA, Canada, and Europe. Do you get any brain fogs ever now? Do you feel sad if you're in the beginning of this, if you were in the beginning of this live, I need to tie my shoes, people. I've been trying to figure out how to do it with one hand. I don't know, maybe I brain fogged out on how to tie my shoes with one hand. So at the beginning of this live, I had a brain fog. I don't even think I finished the list of support. Emotional support, instrumental support, informational support. That's what I was trying to remember. I remember instrumental and informational both start with an I, but informational support and companionship, those are the four types of support. I mean, there's more, but just the main types of support that we receive from others. And so we need to know what type of support we're seeking from another person if we are seeking support from somebody, because a lot of times they're not going to be able to read us. So if we're seeking informational support, usually we go to the person that gives us informational support, right? We go to our father, we go to a mentor. But sometimes we go to the person closest to us. We go to our partner. And if you're a man, goes to his wife, and the wife knows how to support you in an emotional way or a companionship way, and she's like, well, let's go do it together. And you're just seeking like, no, I'm seeking the information on how to get out of this mess. Then that's going to lead to a inharmonious conversation. And if you knew this about support, you could frame the conversation, hey, I'm looking for information. Or same thing with somebody who's seeking emotional support. If you're going into a conversation with somebody who's really good at giving information or instrumental support, instrumental would be like a tool, and you're seeking emotional support, and you go to somebody and they start trying to give you instrumental support, they might think that you need money. And they're like, do you need money? And you're like, no, actually my best friend just died. I'm looking for emotional support, not money right now. So remember that. Just like the love languages, there's 4 different types of support: informational, instrumental, emotional, and companionship. Someone said it's decentralized, talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, my point was that doesn't matter if it becomes irrelevant. If people can break in and just start manipulating whatever they want, it becomes irrelevant. So they're going to have to adjust. They've got time to do so. So we'll see if the thing has an ability to do it. Does our soul like in our body, or does our soul live in our body, or does our body live in our soul? It depends how you define soul. Our body is a function of physical reality. When we speak of subjects like this, it's also important to understand that how dynamic it is. It's not just like there's this one physical reality, and within this reality there's souls and there's physical bodies. This reality is a focal point. This reality is a perspective that we get to have as a physical entity. So this physical body basically tunes us to this reality. And that's essentially like when you look at the frequency of the earth, the Schumann resonance, that's physical reality. We go in and out of this. When we go to sleep, we're no longer tuned to this physical reality, and we go into non-physical realities. So there's realities, there's the focus, the perspective point. So that's called like a density. We are having the perspective point of an individual human experience. There's another perspective point, which is a collection of human experiences. And there's a part of us that's conscious, that's experiencing every human on earth now. And then there's probably that same perspective point isn't bound by linear time, And so it's not just experiencing every human here and now, it's experiencing every human that's ever been here. And that would be like, and then there's different aspects of that consciousness, and we would call that an oversoul. That's kind of like living multiple human lives at the same time. And so the question, does our soul have a body, or does our body have a soul? Or the question was, does our soul live in our body, or does our body live in our soul? I would say they're both true. They inhabit each other. But for the sake of like ease, our body is an aspect of our greater awareness of self. Willow chips. Imagine if Willow was connected to ChatGPT. I mean, Willow will change the world. Yeah. I mean, and if that Willow thing is happening, there's going to be a bounce off of that, right? Somebody's going to take that, or Willow's going to take itself and create something even profoundly more powerful. It's about to keep those suckers under control. Jules is talking about parasites. Fix your hair, please. Flat your hair, please. Leave them be. Guys, it's windy outside. When are we addicted to perfection? This is the demise of human beings, where we're like, it needs to be 72 degrees. I need to have 90-degree turns in my house. I need a perfectly reclined, soft sofa. And when I go to bed, it needs to be as soft and cushiony, but yet supportive as possible. Guys, speaking of that, your bed is destroying your body. And this is a convenience I partake in. But I have, when I was single, and if I wasn't married, I'd probably be sleeping on the floor. But I like to connect with my wife in bed. But the bed, it being really soft, what it does is it wraps around your soft tissue in your body. And now you're resting on your fascia. You're resting on your soft tissue. That's what's holding you up when you're in this pillow of a mattress. For those of you who don't have a partner that would prefer you to be in the bed, speaking to like 20-year-old men out there, try sleeping on the floor. You can put like a couple yoga mats down if you have hardwood floors, or if you have carpet, just put like a couple towels down, or even maybe a yoga mat on the carpet, and you're going to notice that you're not resting on your soft tissue when you're you guys all right now, if you have any type of floor, just lay on the floor right now. What you're going to see is that you're going to feel the hard, bony structure of your body. You're going to feel your hip bones. You're going to feel your heels. You're going to feel your shoulder blades, otherwise known as scapula. You're going to feel your scapula, and that's going to open up your chest. And you're going to feel the soft tissue of your shoulders falling back. You're going to feel your chest open up. You're going to feel the sides of your legs, those tight, the tight IT band. That's going to be hanging off of the bony structure of your body because your bones are being pushed up by the floor. The floor is supporting your bones. And now your soft tissue gets to relax. It gets to hang, as opposed to it being the one being pressured into and it needing to support your entire body, including your bones. So the weight of your bones is not on your soft tissue anymore. Your soft tissue is hanging off the weight of your bones. And that's how you're supposed to relax every single night. Every single night. I would watch my dog and I would be like, Solar, why are you sleeping on the stone floor as opposed to the multiple beds we have for him, like couches and stuff? And yeah, he sleeps on the couch. And my first answer is like, oh, it's because maybe he gets too warm on the couch. But even when it's super cold, it's not the case. He still prefers sleeping on hard floor. Maybe it has to do with something similar. Where are you? I was walking on Ventura Beach. This is where we live. What's the best way to start healing on a physical and soul inner child level? Best way to start healing on a physical, soul, inner child level. So this is like fixating on the fact that you're broken and you need to be healed. And really, if you don't have something to fill in the blank, then there's what you're seeking in healing will be much more difficult. We need to override trauma. Yes, it helps to deal with it and face it. And I'm mentioning the fact that we need a clear direction that we're going once we're healed. Otherwise, we have only one mission, which is to heal. And if your mission is to heal, then you must be broken constantly. So if your mission is to heal, you're manifesting somebody who needs to be healed. And I'll give you one skillful psyche drill really quickly. This is in my online programs. There's a whole hour we spend on this. We do an exercise. But you can journal on... You mentioned inner child. And that tells me that there's some trauma that you've experienced as a child, and it's coming up in your current day-to-day, and you're noticing that it's not effective for you to be programming and experiencing reality from the standpoint of a broken inner child. So let's say your dad used to slap you and tell you to clean up your mess before dinner time. Now, anytime that you approach somebody who resembles an authority figure or a father figure or somebody that's even willing to give you something like the dinner, you relive this trauma. So one exercise that you can do is you can bring up this trauma as clearly as possible. And the way that you can do that is by journaling, and just journal about it. Journal about how it made you feel. Journal about a specific experience. Journal about how he treated you, or I'm just using that as an example, right? Journal everything that you can. Get it all out. Bring it up. And it helps if you're relaxed when you do this, because we really want you in a theta state. So even if you can do a kriya or yoga or go on a run just before you wake up or just before you go to sleep, do this exercise. That way you can override the program. So, sorry, I'm like crossing. I just went through downtown Ventura. Now I'm making my way back up to the suburbs, which is like a half mile away. After you journal the experience, take a moment to reset, and then, as I was saying, we need to override it. Journal what you needed to happen. Journal the same experience, the same specific experience, as if it was everything that you needed. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to give you a barometer on what it is that you need. Like, what does the broken part of you need? Like, the things that you write down when you write down what you wish would have happened is what you're missing. And then you can start to restructure your life and even talk to the people around you and make sure that they're supporting you in a way that is in alignment with what it is that you need. And that's one way to start. And then also, you're no longer focused on fixing yourself. You're focused on exploring the world with a prejudice towards people that act like that second journaling exercise. You're seeking out experiences that give you that. And that's going to allow you to expand. Like, ask yourself questions. Where do these people exist? How can I be in relationships that are more like this as opposed to this? And you're not focused so much on just getting out of feeling bad. You're actually going towards what you need. This works similar to noise-canceling headphones. Noise-canceling headphones don't just plug your ears. They have it's not really a speaker, but for lack of a better terms, it's a speaker on the outside, but it's not really a speaker. It's like a vibration device. And it's registering the sounds coming into your ear. And then it's playing the exact opposite frequency of those sounds. And that's how noise cancellation headphones work. They register the noise around you and they play the exact opposite frequency to those noises. And then what your ear hears is nothing. It just hears silence because it's overriding, it's matching the frequency of the noise. So in this example that we're talking about right now, we can think about trauma as the noise. And in order for us to silence the trauma, we fill in the exact opposite experience, and that allows us to now have harmony and release the trauma that we're addicted to. 100% addicted to the trauma. We don't know how to act without it. It makes hormones surge through the body, and it's definitely addictive hormones like dopamine spike. How eating habits important in awakening process. So for me, the most important thing is the gut brain. There's bacteria that make us up. There's more bacteria in our body than human cells. And think about that. There's more non-human entities that make us up than human cells. There's a term called holobiont, which means that it's a collection of organisms that make up a consciousness. I was again talking about this 20 minutes ago when I was talking about there's a version of consciousness that identifies as many humans. Just like we're a version of consciousness. It's not that it identifies as many humans. Yeah, I'll say that. We're a version of consciousness that identifies as many entities. We've got all this bacteria inside us. We can even say that all of our cells are separate entities as well. We're the consciousness that organizes it all. And in our head, we've got neurons. Those are brain cells. There's, depending on where you look, and this knowledge might have been updated by now, but from the last time I looked, 86 billion to 100 billion neurons in the typical human head brain. There's also neurons in the heart. There's 40,000 in the heart. There's also neurons in the gut. Now there's over 1% of the neurons are in the gut that are in the brain. So there's 100 million neurons in the gut. And remember, I said 86 to 100 billion. So let's just say 100 billion in the head, 100 million in the brain. Is that 1%? Is 1 billion 1% of, or 1 million 1% of 1 billion? No, I think it's 1,000. It's 1,000th of a percent, or it's 1/10 of a percent. So 1/10 of a percent of our brain is in our gut. That makes more sense. I've been saying 1%, but it would be 1 billion in the gut for it to be 1%, but it's 100 million. So it's 1/10 of 1%, which is still significant. 1/10 of 1% of our thinking is happening in our gut. And this is the energy, this is the electrical flow of our body, our nerves, our brain, our meridians. This is all electricity, and I would say electrical energy in a way that we don't really comprehend yet. It has to do with photons, so it's really light that's moving through our body. And when we talk about enlightenment, this person just asked the question from awakening, but I'm going to say enlightenment. We're talking about really becoming aligned with the different aspects of ourselves so that we can become complete as one individual human. When we're complete and organized as one individual human, then we're able to expand and get that enhanced perspective of many humans. And eventually it goes into complete light, which is a bodiless form. Guys, we become enlightened, we become bodiless, disembodied is another way of saying that. We become disembodied when there's no need to have a physical experience anymore. When we've actually lived every single physical possibility on this planet. And that doesn't happen as an individual person. We are a process of that learning. We are learning what it is like to be a human as you. That's what we're doing as an individual. And 100 years ago, there was a whole bunch of other people that were learning how to be a human as them. And in 100 years, there's going to be a whole bunch of other humans that are learning what it's like to be them. And there's a conscious entity, there's a conscious perspective that can actually have access to all of that. Once we have learned all of the different emotions possible as a human on this planet and all the different experiences possible as a human on this planet, there's no need anymore to have a body. And so enlightenment happens when the grand collective organism that makes all humans decides and ascends, this is ascension, ascends out of the physical experience. So searching for enlightenment is a little bit more dynamic than just like, I know the person didn't ask about enlightenment, they asked about awakening, but I went into enlightenment, which is like actually becoming disembodied. We become a social memory complex made up of the collection of humans that have ever existed on Earth. And we become this knowledge base for what it's like to be Earth. Okay, I think, what is the best sleeping position? How do you know if you have parasites? I'm just reading these questions. Lovely light, makes sense. No offense, but you're a beautiful person. Are you worshipped at any festivals? It doesn't say, are you worshipped? Are you doing workshops? Are you workshops at any festivals next year? I'm just reading these questions because I have to go in about 13 seconds. Yeah, I think I like the ending it on the enlightenment path because if we know what the journey is after this, it makes this life make more sense, right? It's the confusion where we don't really know what's going on and everyone's afraid of death because we don't know. We think that it's just like this YOLO thing and we're just like this accident. We have other perspectives to ponder. We don't even need to worry about what's true or not, but if we have other perspectives to ponder, it gives life more dimension. We can perceive it from different ways. And for me, that's more enjoyable.